This is pretty exciting for me today. And I kept thinking, it's my first talk as co-senior pastor, co-senior minister, and I thought, this has got to be my 90th talk. So let the butterflies just settle on down. It's been a great week for me. It was the first week of our co-senior ministering, and it was quite amazing. But the important thing this morning is the reading that Paul did. It's from the Door Lectures by Thomas Troward, published in 1909. That's over 100 years ago. Brilliant man. At the same time in New York, there was this woman. Her name was Genevieve Barrand. And she came across Troward's book at a time when she was deeply depressed because her husband had died. She found that passage that he read, and she memorized it. And she said it several times a day for a long time. And what she found is that passage itself brought her peace of mind, and she started to regain her joy in life. The part about the life spark within could bring her something entirely new was definitely what she was ready for, being alone now in her life and being well off. She wrote at that time, "Surely the divine could not change its inherent nature, and since divine life is operating in me, I must be divinely inhabited. And the divine in me must operate just as it operates in the whole universe. So my life will ultimately become a world of contentment and enjoyment as soon as I'm able to control my thought and provide a concrete center around which the divine energy can play." Now that's pretty amazing, a concrete center around which the divine energy can play. A belief so strong it feels like concrete. Did you ever have one that strong about what you wanted in life? That's really creative confidence. So Miss Barron had decided she would obtain enough money to travel to England and study with Thomas Troward. 1909, wow. Every night in her mind, she dealt out 20 $1,000 bills because she knew it was going to cost $20,000 to do that. Now, some of you people could figure out what that is in today's dollars, but it's a lot. So she would count out these $21,000 of money and saying it was for traveling to Europe, saying it was for studying with Troward. And then she drew a picture of herself walking on the deck of the steamer as it was going to Europe. Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, this is real visible. And she saw Troward accepting her request to study with him. Daily, she would say, "My mind is a center of divine operation." Now, that's something simple that you could say, my mind is the center of divine operation. Well, guess what? Within 6 weeks, she had $20,000 in the bank. That's huge in 1909. She was ready to go. But there was a hitch. She had written letter after letter after letter to Thomas Troward, and he had not answered one of them. In spite of that, in 1912, she boarded that steamer ship, and she went to England, confident that he would take her as a student. Well, when she arrived, she telegraphed him that she was there and ready to be his student. And he said, "You can come and talk to me one time, but I'm way too busy to have students." Well, after that quick meeting, she continued writing him. And he must have wondered about this lady. And so finally, she received a note, and it had one question. What is the meaning of the 16th verse in the 21st chapter of Revelation? She had no idea. She went to all the libraries, she talked to everyone she could. No one had an answer. And so she went to an astrologer, the best astrologer in London. And she asked him to do her, what is that called? Horoscope. Yeah. He really didn't want to until his cat, which never, ever approached anyone who came in his studio, jumped in her lap. And he went, "Whoa, my cat never does this. He must be pleading your case for you." And so he proceeded to do her horoscope, but she said, wait a minute. The most important thing I need to know is the meaning of the 16th verse in the 21st chapter of Revelation. And he goes, I know that. Now, I printed that verse out for you, and it's on the back table because I hope you read it at least 10 times because it took me that many times to really get the full flavor of it. So pick one up. But here's the answer to this verse in Revelation. It was talking about a city. And he said, the city signifies the truth, and the truth is non-invertible. Every side from which you approach it is exactly the same. Well, she was so thrilled, she telegraphed Thomas Troward with that answer. He said, okay, come and be my student. And she did that for 2 years. When she was done, she went back to New York and she started a New Thought school, which is amazing. So her creative confidence was strong, and that life spark within brought her something entirely new that she would have never anticipated before. So I love that story because it's about the power of focused intent. When your intent is strong and you are focused and you let the divine energy play with that. In today's fast-paced world, we have a lot of interruptions and a lot of frustrations. I don't know about you, but my world goes pretty fast. It's so easy to sideline our true desires, to just kind of put them on the side. Yeah, I'll get back to that. Oh yeah, spirit, I want that, blah, 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 blah. The rest of our life goes on. But if we don't take time to really focus on it, we end up getting a life that I call potluck. We take whatever comes along. But Genevieve didn't get distracted. She was right on it. Well, as you know, this is the week that Reverend David moved to Olympia. And thanks to your vote of confidence, Sue and I are co-senior ministers taking the helm. I'll tell you, this first week was a real adrenaline rush. It was amazing. It was an extraordinary amount of paperwork, and if you ever walked by David's office, he bequeathed me all that paper. And at one point, Lori came into my office and she said, if you put one more sheet of paper on your desk, it's obviously going to collapse. So I was wading through a lot of paperwork. But, that's how it is. And then I had an ethics call, a conference call, because I'm the co-chair of ethics for our international organization. And we were wrapping up an ethics case. And then Sue flies off to the San Juan Islands to do a retreat with Dr. Andrea. And I can't think of any more beautiful place in the world. And then I had a meeting with board members, and I had a practitioner session, and then I took over a class for her, the practitioner class, and then I was starting to wake up at 3 a.m. reviewing my list of all these things to do. And it's like, how do I get on top of this? But three things happened this week that I don't want to say kicked me in the butt, but kick-started my creative confidence. It's more appropriate. The first was a webinar I watched. One of the high-profile ministers in our movement presented this webinar on the art of assimilation. It was his view of how to assimilate people into our teaching, because it can be kind of overwhelming. And everything he said was the exact opposite of what we've been doing. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. He said, it's so typical for us as religious scientists, when someone comes in, we want to tell them all about science of mind. Whew. We want to tell them all about Ernest Holmes, who they never heard about. We want to tell them all our principles, all our practices. And he said, that's absolutely wrong. But we've been doing it for years. So I sat back in shock after that webinar. We've been doing this for years. So I wanted to argue with him. I was ready to email him and argue with him. And he said, you probably will, but oh well, this is what you need to know. I said, but there's so much more that we do. We're in the love business. We're helping people find greater love and happiness in their life. We're in the spirit business. We're helping people evolve spiritually on whatever path they're on. We're in the tune-up business. We tune up lives with the qualities of peace, beauty, joy. We're in the healing business. We help people heal the hurts in life. And we're in the seeing business. We are seeing the presence of God in everyone and everywhere. We're in the feeling business. We feel the grace of God in our lives. We're in the teaching business. We're learning the natural laws of the universe, as Genevieve was learning. We're in the creation business by the use of the power of spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. All of this is true. He didn't care. He said, what people are looking for is what they want to improve in their life, period. That's it. So I sat back and absorbed all this. And, most of us come to the center searching for something, whether it's improving our relationships, our work, our health, prosperity. And some want to get to know God on a more personal basis. And, we do that really well. And he's right. Our number one business is to help you with what you want. And all the rest of that information can come later. Then I looked at our literature, the things we've been handing out for years. The Sunday program with the principles on the back. The program insert, which is so full of information you'd have to take it home and read it for an hour. The Quick Start class for newcomers, absolutely not. Our website, chock full of who we are and what you need to know about Ernest Holmes and Science of Mind. Need I go on? By Wednesday, I couldn't sleep. How in the world did we get to this point, and how in the world do we move forward, and how fast can we make it happen? And so today you see a brand new program. Now, it's not the end of refreshing our literature, but it's a start. And I hope you like it, and I'd like your opinion on it. And I hope you like the insert. It's a lot simpler. And like Paul said, well, you forgot this and that. Yeah, well, we'll modify as we go along. And I explained all of this to Sue and Lori and Sylvia this week, and they got it. We're all about helping you in the easiest way possible. Then magic starts happening, because when the four of us brainstorm, it's awesome. So we didn't get everything done, but we made a significant dent in some of these things that we have. Well, then I had a second kickstart in my consciousness. A member here came to see me to tell me what he learned from Reverend David's talk last Sunday. He was very emotional about it. He was so uplifted because he heard using the power of intention to live a fulfilled life as he can, that he can do that. And the joy he gets here at the center, he can take home and tend to the daily business of his life. Sometimes you hear it and you don't get it, and he just got it. He discovered that his growing edge of life will benefit from all of these practices. And it revealed to him how to exercise the muscles of creativity. That's a lot to get out of one talk. I was really amazed. I was really impressed. Hopefully you get some juice out of all the talks we get and take something home with you to help in all areas of your life. So this is what we do and do well. And now we have the opportunity to redesign our literature so it coincides with the best of us. The third kickstart I got this week was teaching Sue's practitioner class. Boy, are these ladies sharp. After 10 minutes, I thought they really didn't need me there. They were doing just fine. But one of the reading assignments was from this wonderful little book, This Thing Called You. If you've never read it, you will underline half of every page in it, believe me. And that kick-started, again, my creative confidence. And each one of these tidbits I'm going to share with you is going to be a talk someday in the future. The first one, never imitate, always be yourself. Sometimes that's hard in the world. Trust yourself. Listen to that still small voice within, which Paul reminded me can often be a very loud voice for not paying attention. Don't fight the opinions of others because what you resist persists. A lot of different opinions out there today. Don't fight your fears, see through them. There is nothing to be afraid of. Now that's concrete in my life. Until I sat here ready to come up and talk and thought, why are my hands cold? There's nothing to be afraid of. Lose your littleness. We are made in the image and likeness of God. Something in us is worthy of immortality and eternal expansion. And that's the thrill for me, because I love to study all the wisdoms, and it's not going to end at the end of this body. It's going to keep on going. That's very exciting to me. So I feel really refreshed and revitalized. You know, then when you're feeling that way, sweet little things start to happen. We have these little sheets on the outside of our door, our office door. It's got time? Here's something we don't have time to do. We really would appreciate your help with it. So anytime you think, I've got a half hour, an hour, check these out. And 3 of them got taken this week and work got done. And that was just so sweet. And then Nadine Williams came in and she said, there's more donations out here than I can imagine we could receive in 2 or 3 days. It was just the welling of spirit. And she said, can I take them to People of Progress? And absolutely. And we took 4 baskets of shoes to Living Hope. That was just so sweet and so generous of everyone. And then Paul made my favorite shrimp dish for dinner. That was a real treat. The reason I'm talking about Genevieve Barron is Friday, I was going through my books, pulling some out for the book sale, and all I could see was this little blank spine, and I pulled this book out, and I went, Genevieve, oh yeah, she's from Troward, she studied Troward. And I opened it up, and immediately, not now immediately, but immediately Friday, turned, and it opened up on how I became the only personal pupil of the greatest mental scientist of the present day. And I thought, that's right. She was his only student. I sat down and read this whole book. I loved it. It's not easily available. I got it from Abe's Books in Portland because they have all the old books. But it was just incredible. And so I invite you to remember the natural laws that God created. That what you're focused on, what you feel most passionate about, is an energy that the divine can play with, our subconscious mind can play with. And each of us are the means for the creative process of the universe to do its work. That's how we're all carried forward. So I invite you to light up your desires. Make them a little more prominent in your life. Don't just take potluck. Because you know you want to enjoy life. You know you want freedom. You know you want love. You know you want happiness. And as you focus on those, the mental picture becomes clearer. And when you have a picture, now that's something creativity, the law of creativity, can work with. So right now, my mental picture is doing online classes. I think we have a great opportunity to reach out to the greater community through online classes. But I also have a mental picture of people from the community coming here to watch webinars, to watch seminars. And so what do we have? We have a big flat screen TV back there, and we have a cart, and we have a laptop, and we have a DVD player, and Chris Johnson put it all together. Bless his heart. It came in, the TV didn't come in pieces, but everything else did. From China, so you know that's always missing some part. So that's my mental picture right now. And I have enthusiasm about it, I have faith in it, and it's more quickly going to come into form when you have the tools to use. So this first week of being co-senior minister is under my belt, and I'm feeling a lot more creative, and my confidence level is really high. So I'm really glad for that webinar, Reverend Lord's webinar, and grateful to Mark Petty, who came to me with what he learned. He wanted to share what he learned from Reverend David that meant so much to him. And then for Genevieve, oh, bless her heart, traveling in 1912 to England on a steamer ship, not knowing that Troward would even speak to her. And, of course, the Holmes reading in the practitioner class fills my heart. So it was a grace-filled week. I offer you to do the same. Have a grace-filled week, a grace-filled life. And let's take that into prayer. This is such a special moment, a moment of enlightenment, actually. Enlightenment that it is true it's all one. It is true that the creative nature of God that created the universe is working in each individual, in our minds, in our hearts. It listens to what we want, and by law makes it happen. So I know for each one here today, as this excitement and desire in life becomes clearer and develops into a mental picture, that through affirmative prayer, through aligning with Christ, the Christ consciousness, through meditation, through contemplation, it evolves and it occurs. And it's not always how we pictured it, because we let God draw outside the lines, color outside the lines. This is the truth that sets us free, to be the creative individuals we're meant to be. And I am so grateful for Genevieve and her incredible trip. So grateful for Ernest Holmes and how he put this whole philosophy together. And I'm so grateful that we teach it, that we are a center grounding people in love. So I release these words to the butterflies and the rainbows in the universe and let them shine on you today. And so it is.